Hello, welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to follow my journey to review all 1000 classic Looney Tunes shorts and give this video a like as well. So this is a review for Country Boy, released in 1935. It's the 98th in the series, and it's directed by Friz Freleng. Since doing the original commentary a few years back, there's been a brand new restoration, and it looks absolutely gorgeous, and I hope one day this will go onto disc. It's not the most exciting short, as you'll see as we go through this, but this one's safe enough to come on disc anyway. Now, this cartoon is under copyright, so I can't show you the full thing here on YouTube, but all that really happens here is that it's loosely based on Beatrix Potter's The Tale of Peter Rabbit, where you've got this cheeky little rabbit in the beginning. He's made to go to school by his mum. He's not happy about it. He then notices some vegetables in the garden, wants to sneak in. His either siblings or the other school children, whoever they are, warn him not to go in there. He does go in there, of course, and we see all sorts of shenanigans involving vegetables and the farmer. I'm assuming that's Farmer McGregor, but we don't really know his name. So very exciting stuff. So first up, we're going to take a look at this short from start to finish, and along with any references. I mean, there's barely any in this one, but we'll go through them anyway. And then because it's a Merry Melodies short that's promoting a song, that point is pretty interesting in this one too. But my good friend Manny, the Toonie Tenor, he's going to go through the musical references on this short. But what's really interesting though is that back then, the Peter Rabbit books were not in the public domain. So they were being a bit cheeky in making this one. They even referred to the rabbit as Peter. We don't hear the farmer's name, but the story is just about the same. So I guess it was just different enough to differentiate itself from the source novel. But who are we kidding? You watch this and you know it's pretty much Peter Rabbit, and it's Friz Freleng's version of it. But anyway, why didn't Warner's or Schlesinger get sued for this? I don't know, but if you know more about that, definitely let me know. But watching this short again, and in this beautiful restoration too, mind you, it does look like once again Friz trying to do his own version of a Silly Symphony short. And I know I'm perhaps repeating myself here if you've watched these reviews from 1934 and now 1935, and clearly Friz was trying to emulate Disney, but because his animators weren't as strong, remember, Disney put his artists through art school and that sort of stuff to really try and bring forward the illusion of life, which eventually led to Snow White. And before Snow White, it was the Silly Symphonies program, which allowed them to practice new skills and all that. So essentially, like a Silly Symphony, Friz Freleng just takes a tale and just puts his own spin on it. And it doesn't really change too much here. Like I mentioned, just makes Peter a little bit more cheekier. But let's have a look at this short from the start. So I will say the opening song's nice. It sets everything up nicely. There's nothing really wrong with it. It's kind of cute, actually. And we establish right away, and thankfully within the first minute, which is kind of unusual, that Peter Rabbit is rather cheeky. So I'm assuming that's his sister, tries to blow her nose, and he just does this ripping sound. The gag's not really clear. It's not really defined here. And this is a far cry from what Tex Avery would bring when he comes to the studio later on in the year. We do get a nice bit of timing with the two bunnies mixing up their straps and trying to run on opposite sides. Is it funny? Not really, but again, Friz was master of timing, so even watching a short like this, you can still appreciate the timing of his animation. So the mother then goes to where the chickens are, looking for Peter, but who is Bobo? I don't know, we see Bobo on the water dish, we see Bobo in that little house. Is that maybe a dog that they have? I don't know. So we end up seeing that Peter pretended to be a chicken. He clearly does want to go to school. Can you blame him? You know, a young kid not wanting to go to school. I get it. Trust me, I definitely get it. But it's kind of similar to a lot of the gags that were in the early Silly Symphonies. But over at the Disney studios, the gags were definitely more refined than this. I can definitely say that, having watched all of them. Then we see the mother smacking Peter. Now, just to put this into context, yes, smacking was seen as acceptable punishment for naughty children back in the day, and now it's frowned upon, and I'm not going to get into a debate over that. It's kind of surprising that this was actually allowed on the streaming services, because you might have kids watching this going, why is the mother smacking the child like that? But anyway. And the next part is, again, this is where I guess Friz would be the most frustrated, because he's trying to create this emotional scene where Peter is clearly sad, his mother smacked him, and he's clearly sad about it, but he's hampered by weaker animation here. I'm not saying that the person, whoever animated this bit, is a bad animator or anything. I think it was just a skill level thing at the time. Friz clearly is trying his best here, but Yeah, it doesn't quite bring off the emotion that it should. Again, it is what it is. And we even see a Rule 3 gag, but it isn't particularly funny. So he's kicking this can twice, and then the third time he gets trapped and he injures his foot. I'm sorry, but big whoop. It doesn't quite work. But what I am noticing about this character is that, okay, there's something she's cheeky and he doesn't really want to go to school and that, but there's nothing here that makes me feel sorry for him, really, even though I can kind of understand why he wouldn't want to go to school and that. There's definitely something about this character that's just not very likable. I think that's part of the problem with this short. And that's something that thankfully Frizz will get better at when it comes to character development. So now we get the sort of Peter Rabbit story where he sees the garden, he wants to sneak in, and then we see, I don't know, again, are they siblings in this scene? Are they the same rabbits, or are they just different school children rabbits? And they are like, uh-oh, we're gonna tell, and we now hear the song. Now here's the weird thing, and Manny will no doubt elaborate further on this, but as far as I'm aware, there's no commercial recording for this song, and the Merry Melodies are there to promote a song. So why did they use this song and try and promote the song in this short when it doesn't seem to be in any movie? My guess is that they were maybe intending the song to be in a movie of some kind, but for whatever reason it wasn't used. But since this cartoon was so far along, they just released the short anyway. That's all I can think of, but Manny may have a different theory, but that's what I think's happened here. And the song itself is fine, and it's clearly a way to move the story forward. So we hear the school bell, and everyone's running to school. Peter is about to go to school, but then he somewhat changes his mind and decides, you know what, I'm going to still go into the garden. So his temptation gets the better of him, so he ends up breaking into this garden, and we see this very bizarre gag where the carrots apparently had bones in them. I know they've got these white little fiber strands in there, but this is very weird. It's like he's eating fish. Yeah, I don't know. It was more weird than funny, I'd say. And apparently Peter has a knife, and he's going to bring the knife to school because look what he's using to cut those beans. And we find out that they are Mexican jumping beans. Wow, we've never ever seen that gag, right? That gag was used in Viva Buddy, which was released not too long ago from this short. And then we see Peter is struggling to get those beets out from the ground. I mean, have you noticed anything here? It's not really much is happening. We get minor little bursts of story and then lots of nothing. So watching this short, it feels like the crew were in some sort of creative slump. It's as though they were just going through the motions. There was just nothing. There was just no spark. So as he's pulling out the beets, we even hear the sound effect again. That's from Mr. and Mrs. is the name. And it's the sound effect that was used with the octopus in that short, and it'd be used in quite a few shorts by Clampett later on. And then we see the cow, and I gotta say, it was nice of Disney to lend a cow to Friz Freleng to use for this short. I'm guessing the budgets must have been pretty tight, so they did him a favour here. All kidding aside, yeah, it really looks like they copied a standard cow that Disney did in even the late 20s or a few years from when this short was released. Oh well, it's a cow, I guess. And I'll admit I kind of chuckled that this cow just fell in the well. I know, it sounds cruel, but it's just weird how it was done. We now see Farmer McGregor, who's, again, unnamed here, but we're going to call him Farmer McGregor, and he's got that newfangled lawnmower. Lawnmowers would be mostly manual, but in this case it's one of those newfangled gasoline lawnmowers. But McGregor hears the cow, but instead of seeing if the cow is okay, he just focuses on Peter, and we never hear from the cow again. So I'm assuming the cow is probably dead at this point. But anyway, now the pace does pick up a little bit in the last part, thankfully, but it's too little too late, if I'm being honest. Got some nice timing to the music, which plays Country Boy again as an instrumental. And it's nice to see that attention was paid to the grass being cut in terms of the green color. And eventually the farmer just stops chasing him and starts mumbling something, which I can't even hear. It's some kind of weird growling. Then we see the corn cut up in piles. So this lawnmower is completely out of control. He gets covered in maple syrup. Is this a Canadian farm or is it Vermont? I don't know, but apparently this is an all-purpose farm where they're farming vegetables, poultry, and maple syrup. So yeah, there you are. He gets covered in feathers. Of course, it's all sticky for maple syrup. And he then crows like a rooster. And that is pretty much it. While, again, I'm assuming the cow is now dead, and the teacher at school is now worried about where one of her students are. The end. So I've been prattling on long enough, so my good friend Manny Cruz, the Toonie Tenor, is going to now go through the music cues in this short and give his own opinion. I know he's going to give this short 10 out of 10. We all will, but let's see what he has to say. So take it away, Manny.
Yo, howdy, y'all. This is Manny Cruz, the Tuna Tenor, coming at you with the latest edition of It's Time for Manny's Music Time, with music trivia for you today. Hey, for the 1935 Merry Melody cartoon, Country Boy Like Me, directed by Frizz Freeling. He's a nice man. He's a really nice man. Oh, here's my real accent, my real Jersey accent. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I gotta practice. But yeah, so welcome back to Manny's Music Time, everyone. Talking today about Country Boy. Sir, what? See, now I'm like switching back between New Jersey and I don't know, some nondescript Southern accent. So let's jump right into the cues for this one, shall we? So there's not much to talk about. So for starters, the cartoon starts with the Merry Melodies theme of that time, I Think You're Ducky. And when the cartoon starts, there was a piece of music that I was like, this has to be a cue. And then I checked the cue sheet and it wasn't. It was an original by Norman Spencer, who is the musical director of this cartoon. And according to IMDb, which I know is not the most legit source in the world, it called it Rural Dance. That's when you hear the Rhythmettes. They're the ones who are singing in the background. You know, setting up the scene, talking about Peter and his mom and his siblings and whatnot.
In a little cottage neath a tree, Mother Bunny raises a family. They are very happy and content, never worry about the rent. Hungry bunnies all awake, they clean up or they'll be late. Off to school they all must go with their little slate.
But this is something that I've said in a previous commentary where I wish I had access to see the original cue sheets at the Warner Brothers archives, because the cues that I have access to, they list only the songs that were not written by Norman Spencer or Bernard Brown or Abe Marsalis or obviously Frank Marsalis. I'm thinking of Abe Lyman and Milt Franklin, William Lava. Their original cues aren't listed in these things. And obviously when we get down the line with Carl Stalling, he wrote tons of original pieces. Obviously What's Up Doc, Bugs' theme song, and other little snippets that were quote-unquote Stalling originals. But in the case of this cartoon, this is a Spencer original, and I just wish I had more information to go with it. So sorry to disappoint, folks. Now, let's talk about the main song, Country Boy. So you hear it throughout the cartoon, and when you hear Peter's siblings sing to him, they change the lyric to call him Naughty Boy as opposed to Country Boy. There is no recording of this song that I could find besides the one from this cartoon. So if you want to have an idea of what the melody is, just watch this cartoon. And for the lyrics themselves, I wish I had an opportunity to find them, but I couldn't because there's not much information about, the lyricists of this cartoon as well as the title song itself. So it's kind of a drag.
We know what you're thinking, naughty boy. You better stop your slinking, naughty boy. You'll be playing hooky on your way to school. Teacher's gonna get you 'cause she's not a fool. If you tell the teacher tattletales, I'll be sure to beat you, tattletales. You better keep away from that there garden plot, or that man will stew you in a pot.
Later on in the cartoon, so when you see Peter sneak into the garden and he starts eating up all the farmer's food, the peas, the carrots, there were some pretty funny gags from that one. You hear a piece called I'm Going Shopping With You, which was a composition by our good friend, Mr. Harry Warren. Again, if you want to learn more information, listen to previous Manny's Music Times. I believe it's like a great big bunch of you. That one that I dug in deep with the history of Harry Warren. So let's talk about the songwriters for the title song, Country Boy itself. So, for starters, and this was kind of hard to find, so the information that I have on the lyricists, again, I tried to double check it with other sites, but I'm getting this from IMDb, and like I said, it's not the most in-depth information, but you got to do with what we have. So, The lyricist, his name was Jerome Jerome. Yeah, William Williams, Robert Roberts. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, his name was Jerome Jerome. According to various websites and the digging I've been doing, apparently his real name was Jerome Bernstein or Jerome Bernstein. But for the sheet music of Country Boy, which by the way was written in 1934, he's credited as Richard Jerome. So he goes by Jerome Jerome, Richard Jerome, Jerome Bernstein or Bernstein. So just for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to call him Jerome Jerome, Jerome squared, Jerome times 2. No, Jerome Jerome. There you go. I'm sticking to it. He was born June 1st. Oh, not that long ago. Today's June 9th, actually. I'm recording this 2024. June 1st, 1906 in New York City, and he died August 27th, 1964 in New York City as well. And a little information about him, and I quote this from IMDb, and I quote, he was a composer, songwriter, and author. He was educated at Cornell University, where he got his Bachelor of Arts degree. He joined ASCAP. So ASCAP is the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers in 1936. And his popular song compositions include Mama, I Want to Make Rhythm, I Want to Know All About You, Country Boy, So Red the Rose, Over a Bowl of Sukiyaki, and I Saw a Ship a-Sailing. So again, I wish I had more to talk about, but there ain't much. All that I know is that he's like, yeah, Jerome Jerome, I'm thinking from the 1993 Mario film. Mario and Luigi Mario. So yeah, there's my Super Mario reference for the day. Bet you didn't see that one coming, especially from that lovely groundbreaking film from 31 years ago. And I haven't seen that film in probably, 20 years or so, and I think I'm better off without it. And how could I forget another alias for this guy could have been Saint Jerome? Yesterday was June 8th, the anniversary of the first Ghostbusters film from 1984. I had to do it, the librarian at the beginning of the film where she mentioned St. Jerome. So there you go. There's your Ghostbusters reference for the day. All right, back on track, shall we? So let's talk about the actual composer of the song itself. His name was Walter Kent. So this information comes from Wikipedia, and it's been sourced. It has its sources listed. It's gotten its information from the Oxford Music Dictionary and some other places. The LA Times had an obituary on him, and the Independent Magazine or newspaper magazine, one of those two, wrote something about him. So this information comes from Wikipedia, and I quote, Walter Kent, his real name was Walter Maurice Kaufman. He was born November 29th, 1911, and he died March 2nd, 1994. So he existed in my time. He died just 8 days before my 6th birthday. Yay, kindergarten me. So he was an American composer and conductor. Some of his notable compositions are I'll Be Home for Christmas, I'm Gonna Live Till I Die, and There Will Be Bluebirds Over the White Cliffs of Dover. A little bit about his early life. Walter Kent was born to a Jewish family. He graduated from Townsend Harris Hall High School, and he studied violin with advanced private instruction from Leopold Auer and Samuel Gardner. I probably said A-U-E-R incorrectly. I've seen that name before. I just didn't say it right. He enrolled at the City College of New York, which I believe now is part of the SUNY system, the City College of the City University of New York. So it's part of the SUNY system now. Studying drafting with the idea of becoming an architect, but he never completed a university education. He did some work as a draftsman, but he gave it up to pursue songwriting. He conducted his own orchestra in New York City, performing in theaters and on the radio. In 1932, Kent co-wrote his first major song with Milton Drake and Abner Silver, entitled Mr. Hemingway. I like the way he wrote that. And throughout the 30s and 40s, Kent worked bi-coastally, writing songs in New York City and writing for the motion picture industry, composing songs for films, including several westerns. And I'll skip ahead, la-di-da-da. He wrote for films, and obviously he wrote songs that were incorporated in animation. Like I said, Country Boy, the title track of this cartoon, was written in 1934 with the lyrics from Jerome Jerome. And a little bit about his death. Preceding his death in 1989, he journeyed to England, Kent, England, the Anglo-Saxon namesake of his adopted surname, to view the cliffs of Dover. At the time of his visit, he donated an original manuscript of the song, There Be Bluebirds Over the White Cliffs of Dover, and participated in the preliminary stages of planning a war commemoration tourist center, and he died in Los Angeles, California. And some of the songs, well, I already mentioned the songs that he wrote, but the one that stands out to me, besides obviously Country Boy, is I'll Be Home for Christmas, which is one of the most famous Christmas songs ever written. And one of the articles that this Wikipedia page was sourced from was one talking about how a lot of famous Christmas songs were actually written by Jewish composers. I'm thinking of this one. I'm thinking of, obviously, of Irving Berlin, who wrote White Christmas. And there's lots of other famous Christmas songs, again, from these amazing Jewish composers that worked, in Hollywood, that worked in Tin Pan Alley and things of that nature, and just contributed a lot to the Great American Songbook. And speaking of animation, how could I forget? Walter Kent did contribute some songs to Melody Time, the 1948 Disney film. So he did work for Warner Brothers inadvertently, and he also worked for Disney. So look at that. Yep, Melody Time, 1948. Yeah, baby. All right. So those are my thoughts for Country Boy. I will spare you from doing my terrible Southern accent again. I did live in Texas for 2 years, but it didn't rub off on me. I was in Houston. Maybe I'll ask Matt Hunter to give me some lessons on my Southern accent. So, thanks for listening. Please follow me on social media at the Tooney Tenor, TheTooneyTenor, for my life as a multifaceted geek and a musician. And I, again, as I mentioned before, yesterday was the anniversary of Ghostbusters, and I was out at the firehouse that they used it as the exterior shots from all the films, pretty much. And I got to celebrate with a bunch of fellow Ghostbuster fans, and didn't see any rabbits stealing carrots and playing hooky from school, unfortunately. Maybe a ghost rabbit. I don't know. It's New York. You can find anything there. All right, folks. Thanks for listening. See you later. That's all, folks.
That's all, folks.
Thank you, Manny. Yeah, this is not a great short, but again, I'm trying to be fair because we have the benefit of hindsight that we know that when Tex Avery comes along, things get so much better. But there's no denying it. They're now at a point of a creative rut. Is it a bad short? No, it's just very straightforward, not really funny, but the animation is a little bit on the weaker side. Really good timing as always, though. And the song is fine. This one gets a 5 out of 10. It's very basic, it's kind of bland, but that'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and until next time, take care.